up guys, Ben here from Velocity Personal Training Academy. Now today we've got a very, very special episode of our podcast for you. So we have our guest, Ben Coomber. Now when we started this podcast, I said that I wanted to get industry leaders in here for everybody to listen to and everybody to help gain knowledge from. Now Ben Coomber is a nutritional coach, author of How to Become an Awesome PT book, educator with the BTN Academy, which delves into the side of nutritional qualifications, a supplement owner with awesome supplements, and also the host of the UK's #1 rated health and fitness podcast. So without further ado, here's our podcast with Ben Coomber. Right Ben, so I'm glad that you've accepted to come on to Velocity Radio's podcast. And just to kind of give an introduction to yourself, Ben, I wrote down a few notes because your list is very long with things that you do. It's very inspirational. So Ben, for our listeners that are hearing this, so Ben's a nutritionist, is an author. So he has How to Be an Awesome PT book, which is this one, if anybody's watching the video. Very good book, read it myself actually. And we'll get onto that anyway, because there's a few points in there that actually I've met some people in there that you talk about before. You're an educator, so you own BTN Academy, which helps to deliver nutritional style courses. Supplement owner with awesome supplements out there, and also host of the UK's #1 rated health and fitness podcast. So off the back of that introduction, Ben, thank you very much for agreeing and coming onto our podcast.
Mate, absolutely pleasure. Any opportunity to help inspire trainers and coaches to be the best that they can be, I will jump at that opportunity.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. So Ben, one of the main purposes of why I wanted to get you onto the podcast is to kind of get our students to understand what you offer out there and why you're offering the nutritional qualifications that are out there, such as your BTN Practical Academy, because I know that, and I've seen through newsletters with the awarding body Active IQ, that you've got that accredited through them now. So can you just kind of introduce BTN Academy and what it is and the practical course, and just a little overview of that, please, Ben?
Sure. So let me go back a little bit to add sort of way more context for people listening, and for me to not just stand here and sort of say that we do courses and stuff like you guys do. So I got into the industry because I had a life-changing journey. You know, I used to be obese, I used to be very unhealthy, and for me, the journey of getting really healthy was a way to be more successful in my career. I felt that I wanted to be fitter, healthier, stronger, more resilient. And that journey had an awful lot of roadblocks, and it was through working through those roadblocks and actually discovering really good quality health and fitness information that kind of accelerated my journey. And we all see that as coaches when we coach someone. Like we kind of work with them, we develop the plan, there's a bit of friction, and then they kind of just get it. Like the penny drops with the client, and like they've almost become a bit obsessed. Like you can't stop them. They want extra personal training sessions. They're doing extra. They're texting you at night saying, you know, can I do this? Should I do that? And that's what happened to me. And I actually trained to become a personal trainer just so that I could train myself better. Like I just wanted to know more information. So I became a personal trainer at the age of 20. So I'm 33 now, so it's 13 years ago now. And I worked as a personal trainer in a small studio with a friend who was setting it up, and he kind of invited me over because he thought I had the right kind of ethics to do good in the industry. So I really appreciated that start. And then I kind of felt like I'd sort of skipped a load of things out. Like I hadn't really learned the basics of physiology, biomechanics, that kind of stuff, because I went in and did quite a lot of courses quite quickly in America. Right. And they were really good, very advanced courses, very holistic. One of my early mentors, Paul Check, you know, great, well-balanced practitioner. I kind of feel like I'd skipped the science. So I ended up going to uni, did a uni degree, and in that whole process, the whole online movement was happening, and I made the decision to go online so that I could reach more people with nutrition. So BTN was first created as a nutrition coaching company, as me as an online coach. Right. It became really popular. We did great stuff. At the height of us coaching people, I was managing a team of 12 coaches. who were all, you know, we were getting that many clients coming through the door through our online website that we needed 12 coaches, and a lot of them were full time. Like it was good.
Yeah.
And then I kind of stood back and I was like, how's the industry going to change even more? Like, how can I have more of an impact? So I decided, why not train the trainers? Why not take our nutrition knowledge and help the trainers? So we started the BTN Academy in 2013, and it kind of started out as a mentorship, like, hey, come and learn with us, we'll teach you what we know. Because at that point in time, there wasn't really anyone, especially in the UK, doing nutrition education online. Like, it was kind of university courses, diplomas, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not where the industry is now. And then over time, we've just evolved, and now we're a year-long level 4 qualification in nutrition coaching, the first in the UK, because we worked with the regulatory bodies to develop that framework.
Yeah.
And now we invite personal trainers in and qualify them as nutrition coaches. So it's been a really exciting journey, but it all started with what I felt was a life-changing journey.
Yeah.
And to empower coaches to have lots of their clients have a similar life-changing journey.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That shows like your passion for it. You've almost got that passion process that you've gone through, is in terms of you've gone through that change, and then you've been a personal trainer, and then you've got into the coaching side of things, and now you're looking to educate others into kind of helping them get into the industry as well with that. What I think that you said as well, Ben, in terms of what were it? Did you find that going to university, when you fast-tracked, you got all of that knowledge, were you able to kind of apply that as a personal trainer within the time that you was at university? And do you feel like university kind of helped you with what you was applying as a trainer?
Yes and no. So if there's a personal trainer sitting here listening thinking, ooh, I'd quite like to go to university, or ooh, would university help me? I would say it's a pretty bad decision. Unless you want to go and work in elite sport, and the kind of pathway to get into that is have a degree, then get an MSc in strength and conditioning, then go do sort of a year, 2-3 years work experience, work in an elite sport. If that's where you want to be, then that's kind of what you need to do. Mm-hmm. But for me, university is a massive amount of time, it's a massive expense, and it won't make you a good personal trainer, because university degrees are very, very theory-based. Like, even my biomechanics sessions, I learned more in my short courses in America with Paul Check on biomechanics than I did in my university degree. Because it's too technical. And that's what I felt I really failed with as a coach, is I got all my clients to be doing such technical stuff early on in their journey, and they were like, whoa, like, dude, I didn't sign up for this, I just want to lose weight and feel a bit better. And all of a sudden I'm doing spinal assessments and seeing how much flexion they've got in their lumbar spine and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, there's not many people that are ready for that. So what did I learn from uni? I got grounded in the basics of sports science, so physiology, all that kind of stuff. So really, really important. But you'd learn that in a personal training degree anyway. But the problem is personal training course. But the problem is I kind of skipped that with the courses that I was doing. Yeah. The other reason I went to university is I wanted to be in an environment which inspired me and gave me opportunity. Because where I live, in Ipswich, Suffolk at the time, like, there wasn't really a uni. You either had to go to London, you had to go to North Norfolk, or you had to travel away. And I was like, there's nothing around here, so I'm going to move and find it. And that's another reason I went to uni, because I wanted opportunity. And I got it. I was at uni. I worked in elite sport with Hull KR for a year. Brilliant. I worked with kids, coaching them, doing lots of different things. I worked in a smoothie bar. I did public speaking. I worked with UK tennis. Like, I just did loads of stuff. I got massive amounts of exposure and experience. And I think that's very important as a young coach, because the health and fitness industry is a beautiful place to be in if you see the amount of opportunity there is in there. Because I will be honest, everyone that's training to become a personal trainer is not best suited to be a personal trainer. And I think you have to really look at your skill set and be honest with that. And that's okay, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up in the job role that's right for you. So the personal training course might be the starting point, learning all of that kind of stuff. But you might be better suited going into, like, food development and service, or biomechanics and injury prevention, or actually managing a gym and actually being in charge of a team because you've got good leadership skills. Like, there's actually loads of jobs. And when I talk to my nutrition students, I'm like, don't just think about personal training like one-to-one. Don't just think about nutrition coaching like one-to-one. Like, and I map out like 25 different job roles.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about personal training. We're not just isolating our skill set. Personal training is just one of our skill sets.
Exactly.
If I look at my job now, I'm an ex-personal trainer, I'm also a nutritionist, I'm also a public speaker, a business owner, I'm a leader to a team of staff. Like, there's a lot going on, but I've developed those skills, and I love that about my job because there's lots of different things that happens every day, and that keeps me excited. So I know that was a bit of a tangent, but I want anyone listening to this to kind of almost see their potential as a lot of grey. Like, there's just a lot you can do. It's not black and white. You don't do a level 3 and like, this is your job.
Exactly. I mean, like you just said, the health and fitness scope, it's a massive umbrella, and you've got loads of things that are under that umbrella that you could maybe potentially go into. Like you said, don't always think that it's just going to be that £25-30 an hour session that you can only do on a gym floor with a client. And that's sometimes what we get when we're in the entry point of where people are coming into industry. That's what they sometimes only think that they can be railroaded into. So we kind of mind map it. We kind of put it out on the board, and just kind of like have loads of lines coming off saying, right, where can this industry go? So, I mean, don't always think that it is just, right, Mary's coming in the gym for a one-to-one personal training session, and then after your hour you say see you later and off you go. You need to think of it more holistically, and like you said, be open-minded. And I think what you've given there in terms of content, that's a very entrepreneurial way of looking at it as well. And that's kind of initially what you want to be looking at if you're going into a self-employed health and fitness based role. Definitely be open-minded. That's brilliant.
Yeah, no, I think you also have to bear in mind what is actually happening in the industry and in culture as well.
Yeah.
It's a big movement right now with people, running small startup businesses, being a lot more entrepreneurial, working from home. The fitness space has changed with competitors coming in the market like Peloton, F45. Like, our industry is getting shaken up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the big commercial gym chains, they're changing a bit in the face of all this competition. And I think, quite often, it's very easy for people to stand there and go, oh, things are changing, there's not as much work anymore, personal training is saturated. It's like, no, just think differently.
There's more opportunities. You need an adapt or die mentality. You need to bring in any adaptation that comes in and think, right, do I want to be in this industry? Is it a passion of mine? Yes. Right. Okay. So what is changing? Where's the gap in this change that I can look to be actually useful within this? What do I want to go into? Because we've seen it many times. I've seen it in gyms where all of a sudden they're bringing in the personal trainers to be employed on a low salary income rather than just paying your rent. So then all of a sudden everything's up in the air, and you think, oh gosh, what do I do? There's a big change happening here. Well, just look to adapt. Look to adapt. Maybe look at it. You don't always have to be within that one specific gym doing that one specific thing. Look, there's loads of other gyms. I mean, there's a pure gym popping up on every frigging corner now, and so there's going to be room to kind of grow within different areas rather than just looking to be within your one specific one.
Now, I would say, and I don't know if you would agree with me, feel free to challenge me on it.
Yeah.
I do value a period of time in a big chain gym, because I think what it teaches you is it's if you think about how many people go into a big gym every day, like the average footfall I know in my local gym is just under 1,000 people. But if you're a personal trainer, you have an opportunity to talk to 1,000 people in a day. That gives you great interpersonal skills on how to deal and communicate and shape your behaviour with thousands of different character types, because personal training, you've got to be quite an adaptable person. We talk about bespoke service, we talk about bespoke diet plans and training plans. Well, how many of us are actually truly bespoking not just a plan for their needs, but the plan for that person's character type, their behaviour, their belief system, their home environment? Like, all of those actually shape a plan. Like, someone might sit down in front of you and go, oh, I really want to personal train with you 4 days a week. And then you delve into their lifestyle and there's a lot happening at home. They've got 3 busy kids. Like, they've got a job where they have to commute. Like, you're just setting them up to fail. Like, that person's not going to be able to stick to that. So while the intention's there and the words are coming out of that client's mouth of like, this is what I want to do, actually, when you really boil down to all the details, it's completely unsustainable, and you haven't bespoked it for every area of their lifestyle. So I quite value my experience in a big gym, because it just taught me interaction, adaptation, talk to people, how to knock down people's limiting beliefs, how to knock back those challenges where people are like, oh, well, you're too expensive, I can't afford personal training. Like, if you're not exposed to that, how do you deal with it? But in a big gym, you can be exposed to like 100 conversations a day. Yeah, no, I've got to see your point of view with that one, because if you can say that if you want to get better at something, especially if you're getting newly qualified in an area, there's no way at getting better at something than actually doing it. So when you've got like your big chain gyms that, say for example, have a footfall of 1,000 people, it's almost like an accelerated growth that you get post qualification, compared to if you were to go into a gym that has a footfall of 50 people a day, and you're really trying to cherry pick people who you get into contact with. So I have got to agree with you on that one, Ben, in terms of get in front of people. And I believe you went off talking about people's behaviour and like understanding the actual person rather than the content that's coming out of their mouth. So they may say to you, for example, I want to train 5 times a week with you. And I know there's a part in your book that says, well, challenge that client. Why? What is the why within? Why do they want to do that? Is it a deeper meaning, deeper understanding? Get to know the client. And you can't do that as quickly and learn those skills as quickly if you're only doing it on a bit part basis with a client or a low number of clients. Dealing with rejection is a huge one. And trust me, being on a big wide gym floor where you've got thousands of members walking in, you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to deal with rejection, but at the end of the day, that's marketing, that's sales, it happens. So being in front of that rejection more and facing your fear is going to learn you to get over it a lot quicker. It's going to learn you the techniques and skills to be able to, right, close that down, where's my next opportunity? So that, I have got to agree, yes. And if you could do that, I mean, for students that come in to us, they'll come in, go at entry point, leave with the qualification, and they'll go off and do loads of different things. I would probably say around about 65% of those do then look to go into large commercial gyms and look to play the trade there. Whereas the other percentage don't. They're either doing it for personal reasons, or they're wanting to come in and do it for the friends, close family, and so on. So yeah, I would recommend getting on that gym floor, because you'll learn your skills at that accelerated growth, definitely. But I think you'll learn yourself as a trainer being on that gym floor the reasons why you're truly doing it as well at the same time. So you probably bring up a great point of whatever you're doing as a coach, whatever you're avoiding, you should probably do it to be better. So I remember when I was a young coach, I was really against group exercise. Like, I just didn't want to do it. I want to focus on like training guys to be more muscular and all that kind of stuff. So I just avoided it. And then I got into a gym where they were like, you have to do it as part of your contract. So I begrudgingly went in, and it was basically circuit classes. Like, it wasn't a problem. Like, every personal trainer should be able to teach a circuit class, otherwise you should probably retire. And I started doing it, and within a couple of weeks, my confidence and my communication skills had, tripled, quadrupled, because I now had to talk in front of 50 people. I had to sort of communicate to Jane as well as Steve, but Steve is more competent than Jane, but I've also got to watch Jane because she's got back pain, and all of a sudden it taught me a totally new skill set. But if I hadn't gone into that gym and I hadn't been forced to challenge myself, I would have never developed that skill set. And that's a real shame. So, whatever you're kind of, afraid of, or, maybe avoiding, could it enhance your skill set? I'd probably challenge you that it would, and you would be a better trainer as a result of it. And the reason why I bring up the big gym thing as well is I started in a small studio, and it made me arrogant. And it made me arrogant because I was 20 years old. I knew quite a lot. I would safely say that I was quite well skilled in terms of nutrition and stuff. But, the clients were coming in. We'd run quite a premium facility. They were we were charging £350 for monthly packages. You know, I got like 8 clients and I was done. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I went away to uni, joined a fitness first, had to pay gym rent, had to do all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I just thought this business was going to come to me. Mm-hmm. You know, in this kind of really premium location with a premium setup. And then all of a sudden I was in a £25 a month gym. And like everyone else, I had to work the floor. Yeah. And in the book, there's that story about Tom, how I observed his behaviour and how he was such a successful trainer and how I was such a failure. And I felt I knew more than him. And actually, he knew enough as a personal trainer to get client results. But what he knew was people skills, how to connect with people, how to communicate, how to sell himself. And I didn't have that. I hadn't developed that. So I went into this gym and failed miserably through my arrogance of my initial starting point. So I kind of wish that I'd sort of had that exposure a little bit early, but luckily I had the kind of staying power and the fortitude to stay in the industry and keep developing those skills, because we're well aware of how short some trainers stay in the industry, which is a shame.
It's unfortunately the dropout rate for it, and it is, like you said, sometimes when you come to that point where you went into the large commercial gym and like you went with that kind of like self-confidence that you kind of knew how to do certain things, at that point when the clients are coming in, that's when you see the people will drop out. Or say for yourself, you had the resilience to say, wait, hold on a minute, I want to start observing more. You talk about in your book, you're almost like a Jedi-like skill that you've got, that you might not have it, but you're looking around and you're always looking for that next thing. Why are they so good? Right, I'm just going to observe them for a little bit. So I think that's a huge point that you made, because again, I know, because I was the young guy that got qualified, came fresh out of a 6-week course. You're learning all the fancy anatomy words, the biomechanics and training systems, and then all of a sudden, I come out of the 6-week course looking for my clients. Where's my clients at? I don't know. Well, I only want to train people that want a 6-pack and want to walk down a beach. And then you close in instantly your kind of catchment of your clients. You're not thinking about the client. You're thinking what you want to do as a personal trainer, rather than helping people get to whatever their goal is, which is a personal trainer. I mean, it's in the name. You're personal to that individual, So going on to that, Ben, the reason that we're on about the book, like I say, I've got the book here. I truly believe after reading this, like a lot of people that are either thinking about going into the industry, not even being in the industry, it's definitely worth a read, because I mean, I've been through that point when you first get into the industry and it's a lot of kind of like you're having to learn on the job type of thing. Reading that book, you're learning from your own mistakes, and it's almost like you can start out at a higher point from what you go on about in that book. I'm just wondering what led you to sit down and actually write it.
I wanted to write that book for a long time before I actually wrote it, and I actually wrote that book in a week.
No way.
Which everyone's always shocked by, but it's because the book was just in me for so long, and I just sat down, got my laptop open, and I had 6 chapters down on the first day. Like I was just wrote it out, and it was, again, like, I want to inspire people through failure. Like, I've made a lot of screw-ups, and I'm continuing to make a lot of screw-ups. And in the personal training industry, I feel like I made a lot of failures for a long time, and I'm kind of grateful that I kind of kept going. And I just don't want personal trainers to get a year, 18 months, 2 months down the line, and they're still earning 12, 14, 16 grand a year. They're a bit frustrated. They feel like they're working all the time. They just can't get their break, sort of thing. And it's like, hang on, let me put all these screw-ups into a book in a really simple way to read it. Let me put a story around it, which is my story. And hopefully it can inspire a lot of people. And thousands of trainers have read it. It's got 5-star reviews on Amazon. And it's a simple read. I wrote it from the heart. I'm just like, this is what happens. This is what I recommend. Just go and try it. The book doesn't have any science in it. There's no magic. There's no 6-figure this and Instagram reality that. It's just like
bloody everywhere now, though, isn't it?
Great personal trainer. Let's just nail that bit.
Yeah.
And then let's kind of move on from that. So I'm happy to give away a free digital copy to everyone listening to this today. If they want a copy of the book for free, then we put a link for them to get that in the show notes. Unfortunately, we can't give away hard copy, so if people want a hard copy, they'll have to go to Amazon and order it, but it's only 16 quid. I personally always like hard copy. I find it's so easy to download stuff. Oh, free book, and then just never read it because it's not there.
Exactly. I mean, I know myself. I read on a night in bed. So if I were to get the iPad or the phone out and then start, I'd be so easily distracted and I won't be able to sleep. So I would recommend the hard copy, and it's not like a big clunky bloody evidence book or anything like that, or a reference book. It's such a simple read, and it's got like little tasks in there as well that you've put in as well. So kind of thinking about almost doing a SWOT analysis of yourself and what do I need to improve as a trainer and so on, and then you're actually asking people to go away, write stuff down, and then come back to it. I think that's perfect, and it resonates. It's applicable to the trainer then. Rather than it just being words on a page, definitely.
There's not many people that will actually do the tasks in a book that they're asked to do. You know, how many times do we sort of read it and go, oh, I don't need to do that. And every book that I've engaged in the task with, I've taken like 10 times away from it. You mentioned this point about kind of a SWOT analysis. The reason why I think it's important, and the reason why I'm quite vulnerable in that book in sharing how I feel I developed as a coach, is that we don't all have the skills that make a personal trainer. You've got to identify those weaknesses so that you can improve on them. So one thing that I felt I didn't have enough of when I was a young trainer, and I would say this is more common in men than females, is compassion. Didn't have a lot of compassion sometimes for people's problems. You know, I was quite young, quite immature, hadn't been there. You know, I kind of felt that change was quite easy for me. I was quite motivated. If you don't have compassion for people's problems, you can't really understand their pain. So I had to really spend a lot of time working on how to become more compassionate. And that's not a bad thing. It's just knowing your natural character tendencies so that you can optimize yourself as a personal trainer. Because a personal trainer with not a lot of compassion is not going to get very far.
Exactly.
You've got to work with people and their problems.
Especially if you're wanting to work with that general population. Because like you said, when I got qualified, I was relatively young. When you got qualified, you were young. And when you're that young whippersnapper straight out of PT school, you haven't, and it's kind of difficult to say, but you haven't got the children, the hard lifestyle, the job, the late nights and so on. So sometimes it can be quite hard to listen to that from another individual and relate to it and have empathy towards it and actually think, wait, hold on a minute, maybe we need to train them a little bit later on in the evening because these early mornings are killing them with sleep and deprivation and so on. So yeah, that's perfect, man. One point as well that I want to kind of move on to is in terms of the personal training. I always remember when I got first qualified, it wasn't necessarily a load of people coming in and saying, right, I want you to train me as a personal trainer, I want you to X, Y, and Z. One of the first questions I got asked was, can you do me a diet plan? Which obviously then, as a personal trainer, and then throughout my history of being a qualified personal trainer, that question always crops up from certain individuals. And there was a fine line between it. And that's the next point that I want to get onto with you, Ben, in terms of like the regulation of nutrition coaching in the fitness industry. So I'm sure you'll know a hell of a lot more about it in regards to what I do. But further on, if I fast forward for myself, when I get students coming into our academy and training, and they want to go that one step further with their nutrition education, and they're saying, well, what should I do? What's the next course to go on? In previous times, it has been what you've already mentioned. Well, if you're actually wanting something fully accredited, there's going to have to be 3 years chalked off your life and go to university. Because that's the only thing that I would want to recommend to you if you're wanting to go down that route. Because obviously there's loads of little miniature courses coming up for £30 and all that type of stuff, and you're just like, no, don't bother about that. Go try and do something accredited. But what would your thoughts of that be in terms of nutrition regulation?
Yes, interesting topic. Hopefully we can put a link so people can read more from this, because we've written a big blog about it. So again, it's a question that we get asked a lot as a nutrition education company. For me, the reason why I think the industry has become quite aggressive in their stance is that and rightly so, there's been a lot of charlatans on the internet kind of just writing diet plans, saying the diet plans will perform a certain function. And sometimes that is just, oh, this diet plan will guarantee weight loss, or, oh, this diet plan will reverse your diabetes, oh, this diet plan cures cancer. And the kind of claims around diets have just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the reality is, a dietitian is the only person that's able to clinically say, if you follow this eating guideline, you should achieve this result. So, for example, if we're working with a diabetic patient, a dietitian can sit down and work out a diabetes-related meal plan that has evidence behind it to help reverse type 2 diabetes, for example, or manage type 1 diabetes, as a crude example. And what personal trainers have done is they've kind of used that same kind of methodology of we'll follow this and you'll kind of lose weight. But again, it's prescriptive behaviour, and none of us are really qualified to kind of perform prescriptive nutritional recommendations. So even if someone came through our Nutrition Academy and we did it, they're qualified, all the rest of it, we would still ensure that, yes, they can develop diet plans for people, but it's recommendations, it's guidelines.
Of course,
so my clients, I teach a 90-day fat loss program. It's the only way that I coach people, and I still give everyone a diet plan. But I say to people, these are ideas. Here's 7 breakfast ideas, 7 lunch, 7 dinners, 7 snacks, because the reality is the client needs that. They just need a kind of a bit of a template to get going, and then we can refine it. And I kind of disagree with this side of the industry that's kind of been so militant about diet plans, and it's like, no, you just need to teach your client. You need to sit them down and teach them about food and teach them about calories and macros and flexible dieting and how to fit it in. I'm like, that's all absolutely great. But 98% of people are not going to pay for that process. It's a very personalised, involved process. It's quite a one-to-one process. Having that much time to actually teach a client about all that kind of stuff. So my perspective is build something that's safe and healthy and is kind of rough for that person, and then over time teach them what carbs, proteins and fats are, teach them about balance, teach them about how to manage calorie load and their exercise. So for me, it all comes down to language, and that's where the industry's been failing, because people in the industry have seen the opportunity to make money. And things like diet plans are very easy to put up online and make money. Like, I'll give you a diet plan, 50 quid, we'll have a Skype, like, job done, see you later. And that's where kind of the damage has been done. Where there is opportunity, there's usually people screwing it up, for everyone else. So that's kind of my stance, that there is an official line there, but I think it all comes down to how the coach is actually delivering that information to the client.
Yeah, definitely. And I've got to agree on that. And one thing that I sometimes think the downfall is when people come entry level into the industry is, I'll be the first one to say this, the nutrition unit on the personal training qualification is very, very basic, and you will not learn how to write a diet plan on that if you were to follow it step by step by the criteria. And I think that links into what you guys are doing over at the BTN Academy in terms of just going that one step further. And for the guys that are wanting to become more educated in the nutritional side of things, take them through that whole scope of how to write out like evidence-based kind of nutritional guidance for people. Definitely. So we'll move back into personal training just for now then, Ben, if that's okay. So because we'll get to the end of this to wrap it up, if that's okay as well, because I know you're a busy guy. So if you were to kind of give kind of like 3 points in terms of priority tips for personal trainers when they're first starting out, what would be the first things that come to mind in terms of like newly qualified? What are 3 tips that you would give them?
So when you're qualified as a level 3 PT, you know enough information to help probably 95% of people. Most people just want to move, want to be healthy, eat better, go for a run, like all real basic stuff. So don't kind of stand there and feel, oh my God, like I know so little, and kind of be scared of it, because most people just need the basics. So I want people to take a certain amount of confidence that what they know can help a lot of people. Do not get me wrong, it is the start of your journey. There's lots to learn. But most of the things that you need to learn are actually things like people skills, communication, behaviour change, marketing and sales, how to present yourself and your services. Yep. And, so many trainers get so focused on their CV and their skills, which is important, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. We need to know the other soft skills. Yeah. So, but my first kind of point there is don't forget how to be a good communicator. A good salesman. Just training people in a good way is not enough. Mm-hmm. You've got to sell that before you're even able to train someone. Of course. My second point is kind of just go all in and go hard. Like, let's just say you've joined a Pure Gym, you're on their team, you walked in the gym, it's your first day, and you're sitting there thinking, right, I need clients. Well, my perspective is, if you've got the time, you need to be in that gym every hour it's open. If you want clients, just go hard. And when I moved back from university, I joined a big gym. It was a David Lloyd. It's in my area. And I went really hard, and I had a full client list in 5 weeks.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Which is awesome. But I put the hours in. I was there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I left at 9 o'clock at night. And I only left at 9 o'clock at night because I went home, food prep, literally went to sleep and came home again. Yeah. In 5 weeks, I had a business. Mm-hmm. I just went hard. I talked to everyone. I put leaflets up. I did initiatives. I thought outside the box as well. Yeah. As in, how do I attract clients into my business? I gave a lot of, free, valuable information up. Yeah. Thirdly is probably write like a journal to yourself. Yeah. And be reflective of what's happening because personal training is such a hands-on thing, and you're quite often trying to fix things in the moment, you don't even really get time. So let's say, for example, you train someone in the morning, 9 to 10 a.m., and the training session didn't really go very well. The dynamic was off, the delivery, it just felt like a bad session. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of get to the end of the session, you're like, that was a bit crap. Oh, damn. But then you have your 10 a.m. session, and it goes really well, and it kind of negates the 9 a.m. session because you've just had a good experience. Mm-hmm. And because you get caught up in your day, you never really come back to that 9 a.m. session. Yeah. You then come back to it 2 days later when you have that person in again for another session, and you're kind of sat there thinking, I'm kind of regretting this session because it didn't go very well last week, and I don't really want to have to train this person because it just didn't really feel right, and Mm-hmm. I would implore a trainer to have a journal and write about their day. What happened in today? What went well? What didn't go well? Okay, that didn't go well. How do I fix it? So with that session, that 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where the dynamic was off, try and break down why you think that is. Was it your delivery? Was it the energy that person brought to the session? Is it the way that you started the session? Maybe you didn't really gauge their mood as they came in. Maybe you didn't really listen to the problem that they had when they first came in. Maybe, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But you can progress really quickly as a trainer if you just keep breaking down these points of friction in your business and trying to create a solution. And one of the ways that you can kind of advance that even more, and I would recommend everyone did that, is have a personal trainer yourself or a mentor. Someone 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead of you. Mm-hmm. Have a session 1 day a week with that person. Well, why would you do that? Because they're where you want to be.
Exactly. Yeah, have that mentor.
Give you all the pearls of wisdom.
Yeah. I think going back to that point about the journal, that's a really interesting one, that as well. Because how are you going to learn from something if you actually have forgotten about it? Like I say, it can be a very hour-by-hour job that you're doing. So then if something's happened first thing in the morning and then you've had a really good day for the rest of the day, it hasn't affected the rest of it and you might forget about it. But again, touching on that second point there that you made on your third point, is have an actual trainer yourself, and you'd be amazed at how many people come into the industry without having been personal trained. So they like the idea of the job, but they've never actually had it done to them. Don't get me wrong, there's a certain percentage of people that have had that done. But I would definitely 100% recommend, because I was one of them people, I'll be very honest. I went into a career that I haven't actually had a trainer before that I then went into. But after it, then you find people. You find people that are doing certain niches, doing certain things, trained certain ways, and you're thinking, hold on a minute, I want to learn more about that. So then go train with that person, get them to take you on, because otherwise you're not going to learn. You're just going to stagnate, and you don't always know everything. You need to reach out, and like you said in your book, almost like create a bit of an analysis of what do I need to improve on, whether it be hard skills or soft skills, like you said.
It definitely helps you stay hungry, because when I became a personal trainer, I had 2 trainers, and it was the trainers that work in the studio that I was going into. So I had a male and a female trainer. One was more therapy based and one was more strength and conditioning based. So I got really good exposure to that, because they were training me, treating me.
Brilliant.
And one of the reasons, I left that studio gym is because I felt I wasn't growing anymore. I felt that the people teaching me couldn't offer anymore.
Right.
And I was someone that wanted to just keep learning. So I moved. I was like, I'm going to go to a different environment so I can keep growing.
Yeah.
Some people don't want that. It's absolutely fine. But I did as a person, and that kept me hungry. And that's why I'm still in this career 13 years later, albeit I'm doing something different. But I'm still making a big impact in the fitness industry as best I can, because I'm still growing. I'm still challenging myself. I still wake up every day going, I want to learn some cool stuff today. And I'm at no point arrogant enough to say that a book or a mentor or a coach cannot teach me something today.
Yeah. And it's been like, that's perfect. Could not have put it any better, because you need to be open-minded. You need to think and almost like hear everybody out. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Some people will tell you some utter rubbish, but then it's just having the capacity to actually listen to people, because you may actually learn something and be open-minded towards it. Fantastic, Ben. Thank you very much for this. I'm sure this will be very helpful towards our students and anybody listening as well, because we will put it out there on our podcast channel. So any guys that are interested in, any of our students that are interested in the BTN Academy, I've been in touch with Tom, and we have got a link on our members site where you can get a percentage off the course fee. So by all means, feel free to go onto that. You mentioned as well previous in this about a link to the book. We'll put that underneath as well. And also all of your social links. But if anybody wants to get in contact with you, Ben, what's the best way for them to hit you up?
Yeah, most people are on social media, so type Ben Coomber into Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you like to follow people, and you'll be able to find me. And slip into my DMs, and I'll help however I can.
Fantastic. No, can't thank you much for this, Ben. Can't even get my words out, because we've gone through so much stuff. But thank you very much for coming on. Definitely.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.